So for all my Godzilla fans out there, and for all my Quiet Place fans out there, this video's for you. Today, we are going to be reacting to a video titled, Could the Death Angels Survive Skull Island? If you don't know anything about the Quiet Place, the Death Angels, they're pretty scary. Now, are they scary enough to actually be able to survive on Skull Island? I don't know, but that's why we're reacting. Shout out to FDA for the video. Let's get into it.
Featured the introduction of speedy, agile, and most
Let me know in the comments if you've seen A Quiet Place.
The very well-known xenomorphs.
Those are those monsters right there.
And these aliens are known as the Death Angels, leaving nothing but destruction in their
They're not
path
huge.
And
They're bigger than humans, but
Being
like
that this is a Godzilla channel,
Skull
I wonder what would
Island?
happen if the small but extremely deadly Death Angels
They are
traveled
extremely
to the
deadly.
Monsterverse's version of Skull Island, littered with smaller creatures such as the Death Jackals and Spirit Tigers,
like
to the likes of our very own Kong and fan favorite Camazotz. Would the Death
I think Kong's ripping them apart, or just
the military threw at them and much more.
Kind of like ants,
survive
though.
The horrors of this island. Before we dive into,
if there was a million ants on you,
let's first go over what
you might not get out of
Angels
that.
are.
I don't know.
The Death Angels' origin is extremely interesting. Their home planet, unlike ours, lacked the existence of a star, making their environment completely pitch black.
Oh, see, I didn't know about all
that. The Death
that.
Angels, as we see, evolved to use echolocation and have an incredible sense of hearing.
Because I saw the first one, but I haven't seen the other ones after that.
Suddenly, their home planet violently exploded, creating a multitude of fragments. On these fragments, they survived in the vacuum of space, which is around negative 455 degrees Fahrenheit. What makes this extremely impressive is that we don't know how far away this planet was, meaning they could have been traveling for thousands of years until they crash landed on Earth. As we see, the fragments enter the
I'm about to watch these movies again
and burn up, traveling at speeds nearing
I've only seen the first one.
17,500 miles per hour. Once they crash landed, we see them immediately causing havoc, and to many people's surprise, they escaped unscathed from slamming into Earth. The Death Angels' armor is basically
true.
Surviving their own.
I mean, if you slam into Earth and you're surviving that,
entry into the atmosphere,
you could survive a bunch.
Slamming into Earth. However, they're not totally.
I didn't even think about
as they're vulnerable when their armored plates open up.
True
The
that.
fleshy inside, which encases their most useful tool, their ears. The Death Angels are extremely powerful as well.
They're blind, right? I'm pretty sure.
And even the likes of the U.S. military's very own Humvees. We also know that one of the larger fragments, which struck Mexico, landed with the force of an atomic bomb, which generates around 17 kilotons of TNT.
Dang.
And this is on the lower end of the spectrum, which would generate temperatures in the several millions of degrees, which they of course survived without breaking a sweat. Their strength and durability.
See how you survive and all that.
To offer.
The temperature, the slam.
Perfect evolutionary killing machines, and actually had a hierarchy system implying high levels of intelligence. In A Quiet Place Day 1, we are introduced to this Queen Angel that calls the others to eat. What are they eating exactly? Well, a fungus from their planet survived. This fungus grows from the organic material they kill, as the Death Angels don't eat their prey. Rather, wait for the fungus to grow to eat it. And of course, we have to touch upon their speed. They're able to easily catch up with cars, and some sources even say they can run up to 300 miles per hour. Pairing this with their agility to scale virtually everything, it's no wonder that the military failed to stop them, throwing everything they had at them. However, they're not all perfect, having two weaknesses, those being high-frequency sounds and water. Due to their over-reliance on hearing, high-frequency sounds can overwhelm their hearing sensors, leaving their armor plates open and thus leaving them exposed.
There you
With
go.
Their incredible durability, they cannot swim at all.
So basically, go to a football stadium, crank up the volume,
as a result, they instantly sink to
bring you an AK.
These things are extremely deadly, being virtually invincible, incredibly strong, extremely fast, and very smart, but they aren't perfect.
You probably wouldn't be alright, let's be real.
How will the monster versus Skull Island fare?
Okay, here we go.
Death
Skull
Angels
Island.
crash land onto the island, drawing the attention of none other than the meanest and most vicious
Skull
creatures on
crawlers.
Skull Island, the Skull Crawlers. Curious as to what the noise was, thinking it's another meal they can score, their investigation.
Yeah, Skull crawlers are getting wiped. I'm not gonna lie.
Death. As we've seen, the only armored areas of the Skull Crawlers are their armored heads.
They're getting wiped pretty fast.
Even able to be sliced by katanas, and these Death Angels pack a lot more than just the sharpness of a katana. Several of the Death Angels swarm out of the hole dug deep into the ground, and the Skull Crawlers that ventured go down in seconds. Anything that makes a noise is torn apart by these Death Angels. Peaceful creatures such as the Skur Buffalo are killed without hesitation.
I'd say if you're a flying kaiju, you're good.
The Death Angels. With all this killing on the island, it's bound to attract none other than Kong, the guardian of the island.
So let's see about Kong. That's interesting.
Even his rivals, the Skull Crawlers, seeing how effortlessly they were decimated by this new threat, he needs to find out what's causing this. Unlucky for our ape, He's a large fella, and his footsteps are very loud.
They
The
are
noise
loud.
attracts
It's going to
the death
attract all
angels.
of them.
These creatures, foreign to this island, crawl onto his legs and
See?
scale his massive body. To
If there
him,
was a
they
lot
seem
of them,
like
I
how
get
we
it.
might view ants, but imagine they were attached
So
to a
literally what I
steak knife
said.
as a weapon. Kong, at the time, was still quite young and was cut into by helicopter blades, and make no mistake, these death angels
Yeah,
are far
dude.
more deadly than mere blades.
And if they
Despite
group up
being
on
the
him.
king of the island, he gets torn up.
So I'm
apart.
agreeing with a
The
bunch of his
dozens
points
death
here,
angels that
actually.
scale his body, dig deep into his flesh, revealing bone. Kong would try to roll on the ground to maybe get them off of him, but the couple that do get flung off are immediately brought back in.
Yeah.
Their durability is far too
They're
much for
durable,
anything
brother.
this young Kong is capable of. Kong would unfortunately get torn apart by the death
And if you
angels.
beat Kong
Their
on
speed,
Skull Island,
power,
what else is gonna
durability,
be?
and intelligence would allow them to actually make quick work
The
of
Death
island's
Angels.
king.
I'm gonna say
Now, when
Death
it comes
Angels
to
kinda
adult
just end up
Kong,
taking over.
That's a different story. While the Death Angels are extremely durable, Kong was able to crush the Heaves, which took an entire planet's worth of gravity with no issue. So if adult Kong were to grab one of these Death Angels,
That's true.
they'd be
Adult
squashed
Kong,
in an
different
instant.
story.
The death of Kong would draw out none other than the big one, otherwise known as Ramarak. Not only noticing the mass death of the smaller skull crawlers, but the death of Kong, it
I'm
actually
still
gives
saying
him an
Ramarak gets
opportunity to
destroyed
take
too.
over the island. Unlucky for Ramarak, the Death Angels would immediately swarm him.
Yeah,
just like
there's
with
too many
Kong
of 'em.
and many other larger titans
Dang.
on the island. Their size
That
does
human?
not help them, as they're extremely loud. Ramarak's agility would maybe help it survive an extra couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Realizing that smacking the
Not
angels
long.
full force into the side of the mountain does absolutely nothing, he'd attempt to retreat, only to be chased and executed by the Death Angels. Smaller
300
animals
miles per
such as
hour,
the
you ain't
death
escaping
jackals,
that.
Spirit tigers, and the magma turtles would be killed to extinction on Skull Island, leaving the island almost a barren wasteland.
So everybody would be
Luckily enough,
cooked, basically.
Some of the creatures, such as the Mire Squid, Kraken, Siren Jaw, Croc, and Giant Hawk would be able to survive. As
They
we
can
mentioned
fly and
earlier,
be in the
one of
water.
their main weaknesses is their inability to swim.
Yep.
The Mire Squid could actually kill some of them, drawing their attention by making sound and splashing in the water, and then grabbing any unsuspecting Death Angels that wander too close to its lake
True
and
that.
pull them in. As a result, these intelligent
So if you're
flying
in the water,
machines
if
would
you're in
learn
the sky,
quickly
you're
to
good.
not go to the sound of water to avoid the creatures that inhabit it. Those who would adventure to the beaches would be pulled in by the Kraken. The Kraken, as we've seen in the Skull Island anime, is far from a benevolent titan, really just killing
a
for
big
no
boy.
reason. However, if the Kraken dared to go on land, it would suffer the same fate.
Yeah,
Kong
see,
faced,
'cause you'd
having
have to
limbs
eat.
torn in seconds
If you're
and
in the air,
instantly
so,
retreating
like-
to the water. Our flying animals, such as the leafwings,
Also,
would be
what are you gonna
perfectly
eat if
alright,
everything's dead?
barely observing and being able to fly away from the danger the angels present. The giant hawk, while it would have to eventually land, is smart enough to observe for itself and put the pieces together and understand that sound draws their attention. Very few of the Death Angels would die. Some would unfortunately fall into a river, others grabbed by the Mire Squid and Kraken and quickly drown. One of the main weaknesses
This
of
was
the
like
Death Angels
in-depth
is their
scenario
inability
here.
to
Shout out
swim,
FDA.
but what about their other weakness?
I like this.
High-frequency sound. We're all very familiar with the Titan who harnesses this power, and that is none other than Camazotz. Camazotz is a relatively smart
And
Titan
he flies,
and powerful
bro.
as well, going blow for blow with a grown Kong in a one-on-one fight. Camazotz has one of the main means of killing these things, and that is its sonic roar. This
Interesting.
sonic roar would do much more than disorient them, as their plates are opened up by the deafening
I didn't even
sound,
think about
their
him, to
inner
be
flesh
honest.
would be completely liquefied
I
to
totally
mush,
forgot.
as the angels, once exposed, are even susceptible to gunfire and a mere swing from an axe. The Death Angels would rule the island for years, running it dry of any life at all. Anything that makes sound would die. Only then, when Ghidorah's call awakens Camazotz, will the Death Angels truly be in trouble.
They would be in
Camazotz,
trouble,
seeing
but
the
it's
death
only
and
one,
destruction
you know?
caused by these things would
And
go
how
out of its
long
way to
can he
eradicate
scream?
them, and it'd be quite easy. Camazotz would simply pass over the land using its sonic roar, and merely being around Camazotz's scream would kill the Death Angels, bursting
Oh, he
their
kills
eardrums
them.
if they
Okay.
aren't liquefied already,
Then
and
never mind.
destroying the brain.
Camazotz
Despite
got
Skull
that.
Island's various different deadly creatures, whether it's the Skull Crawlers or Kong, would find itself become a barren
Ugh.
wasteland of death, with their only threat being Camazotz due to one of their only weakness being high-frequency sounds.
So
let's go
Camazotz
back to the
win,
main
basically.
question and point of the video. How would the Death Angels fare on Skull Island? Well, they'd tear right
They
through
would
it,
do great
changing
until
it from an island
Camazotz.
filled with multiple different horrors in life to an island filled with death, ruled by one creature, the Death Angels themselves. They would thrive until the arrival of Camazotz. Until then, this invasive species would live up to their movie performances, causing an apocalypse on Skull Island.
I
With
like
the
that
release of A
scenario.
Quiet
I
Place
like
Day
this.
1,
All of this
the Death
was
Angels caught my attention again,
accurate in
and
my
we,
opinion.
Of course, had to put them in scenarios like this.
I like
They'd
it.
see tremendous success.
Great
become
scenario.
The only living creatures remaining on the island, excluding those who can fly and swim, but they'd really turn Skull Island into a death island.
For sure. It would 100% be Death Island. Let me know what you thought. Do you have any varying opinions? I agree with probably 100% of what he said. Especially the fact that if Camazotz were to come in, I mean, he would just basically obliterate everything. I love you guys. I will see you in tomorrow's video. Thank you for watching with me. Goodbye.